You like movies about gladiators?
Those men wanted to have sex with me.
Great Scott!
Nice beaver.
Cinderella boy.
Ramble is a pussy.
Come with me if you want to live.
I'm Charlie McGee.
I'm George McGee.
And welcome to Retro Ramble. As you might have guessed this, we are brothers.
Also movie lovers. We're brothers who grew up on a healthy diet of films, and we enjoy rambling about it. The purpose of this podcast is simple. We take a look back at the films that we grew up with and remember most fondly. Films that are worth a discussion for one reason or the other, good or bad.
This week, we thought as a slight palate cleanser and to move on from Predator, that we do something which was a bit more, shall we say, accessible for the ladies out there.
For all you lovely ladies that are listening to us, all two of them.
So this week we're going to be covering Point Break. We're going to go into some detail about that, but we just think it's always worth pointing out that we are not a publication, are we, George? We are not getting paid for this.
Certainly not getting paid for this, but we enjoy doing it.
Yeah, we are movie fans. We have grown up watching these films, discussing these films. George has got movie qualifications and has worked in the industry.
I will confirm or deny.
Yes, George doesn't want to talk about the sort of films that he made, not on this podcast anyway. But The point of Retro Ramble is that we take a look back at the films that mean a lot to us. We try and insert a bit of banter and some terrible impressions to keep you amused in whatever you are doing, whether you are constructing a building, taking care of children, operating heavy machinery, or planning world domination. Whatever takes your fancy, we know that some people need podcasts in their life.
And I think it goes without saying, it's the first time that we are effectively doing this with a real audience. The first 3 episodes we crafted over a number of months. We wanted to get ourselves at a state of readiness. So yeah, I think we should say a big thank you to all those people that have downloaded since we've gone live, the people that have reviewed us.
A very big thank you.
A very big thank you. You know, we've had some really nice feedback and it really means a lot to us both because we've spent a lot of time trying to get this baby up and running. But yeah, if you do like what you hear, you're having a little giggle right now, can you please take out the time to just leave us a review?
Share the love. Get the word out there.
Just tell a friend. They might tell a friend.
Yeah, and also feel free to send in any suggestions you have for films you'd like us to cover.
Random questions?
Yeah, random questions, because they could and probably will become a feature because we've started to get some very interesting feedback. So, anything else, George, before we dive into the 1991 classic that is Point Break? I mean, I think we're going to go into some detail. We're going to go to some beautiful places. We're going to LA. And then at the end, we're going to wrap up with, once we've covered the film, as per usual, George and I will talk for a few minutes on things, what we're into at the moment, because it's not all retro, is it, George?
It's not all retro. We've got some, you had an exciting
movie premiere,
filmic encounter.
Yes.
Recently, which I think we'll have a little bit of a chat about. But yeah, I think on with the cast.
Yeah, get the tapes ready.
The whirring up.
And we're going to go live.
$27 banks in 3 years.
Everybody free!
Anything to catch the perfect wave. Patrick Swayze.
Man, makes me think twice about putting money in the bank these days.
Keanu Reeves.
So you think I joined the FBI to learn to surf?
Point Break.
Adios, amigo!
So, George, Point Break, take us away.
Point Break, for those of you who have forgotten what it's about, plot in a nutshell, we have ex-semi-pro footballer turned FBI recruit, Johnny Utah. He's assigned on his first mission to learn to surf so he can infiltrate a group of bank robbers who call themselves the ex-presidents.
Makes perfect sense to me, George. First day on the job, it's FBI.
It's quite simple, it's quite straightforward in terms of, what you're expecting. We're obviously going to go into the story.
A lot more detail.
A lot more detail.
Who brought us this now-today cult classic?
It's directed by Catherine Bigelow. who is one of the greatest living and working female directors of all time, not just our time. She is most famous for Zero Dark 30 and The Hurt Locker, for directing those two films. So she's the only woman to date to win an Academy Award for Best Director.
But Hollywood isn't sexist.
Not at all. Directors Guild of America Award for Outstanding Directing, BAFTA for Best Direction, and the Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Director. She's also the first woman to win the Saturn Award for Best Director for another great film of hers that she did back in 1995, Strange Days.
I love that film.
Which is, I'd recommend anyone to go and see it. It's very prescient. It's a bit like an early Black Mirror episode. It's set on the eve of the millennium, and it's all about the black market trade of people are recording and selling their memories.
It's where they put the shower caps on their head,
it's
which
a bit like a squid type thing.
And it uploads. Isn't it dreams or memories?
No, it records your memories and then
it records your experiences.
And then people are selling them on the black market because you can actually, it's all virtual reality. You can tap in and you can experience, feel what they feel, see what they see, and it becomes a bit of a murder mystery type thing.
Who's in it again?
It's got Ray Fiennes.
I'm saying because if you ever wanted to see Voldemort getting off, like experiencing a video of a girl in the shower, this is the film for you.
It's probably the most diverse role from Ray Fiennes, and he's a really sleazy, horrible character, but he makes it very compelling. And
With a heart of gold.
With a heart of gold. But yeah, Strange Days is a cracking film. I say very prescient, but the one thing they didn't get right is that in the future we're going to record all our memories on mini disc.
Well, I'm still using mini disc.
Well, I still have a quite a varied selection of mini discs.
Better quality than CD. It's so practical.
Just never took off.
No, it's a shame.
Just never took off. Obviously, nowadays seen for very thought-provoking, very hard-hitting stuff. Looking back at Point Break, that's fairly early on in her career, but it's still one of her best-known films. And at the time, it was co-wrote and co-produced by her then-husband, a very small-time director, a guy called James Cameron.
Jimmy Cameron. What's he ever done? What's he done for us lately?
He was just working on a small project at the time. It was called T2, Terminator 2 or something.
Yeah.
Which actually came out the same summer. I'm sure you'll...
Yeah, 2 weeks before this film. This is why I just like to chip in, because I always like to try and set the scene. I'm going to take you back to 1991. You were listening to Guns N' Roses' You Could Be Mine, or the KLF... 3 a.m. Justified and Ancient,
or still Bryan Adams,
who is still number one because Robin Hood had been out for 5 weeks. So you got to imagine people.
5 years.
It felt like 5 years. People were still. It was the summer. People were still going to the cinema to see Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, to see the late Alan Rickman upstage Kevin Costner. They were still listening to Bryan Adams pumping out. T2 had only been out for 2 weeks, and what happens? Point Break comes out. And the reason why we're talking about it today is because even with that sort of competition, this is a film that has clearly stood up the test of time.
Yeah, it's a film that's very much of its era.
Well, it's important to us, and that's why we're talking about it, right?
Obviously. But, how many crime, thriller, surfing, action films can you name on one hand?
About the same amount of films featuring FBI agents who surf.
That's true. That's true. It's a great film. Obviously, it's got a good background. Catherine Bigelow, James Cameron production. I've touched on it in the past. James Cameron is a great producer as well as an amazing director. Yeah, it was. But originally, it was lined up to be directed by Ridley Scott,
who is also from the northeast of England, like we are.
Yes, that Sir Ridders is from South Shields, so not too far away from where we grew up. Originally, the film was called simply Johnny Utah.
I didn't know that.
When Keanu Reeves was cast in the title role.
Focus group said no.
The studio felt it said very little about surfing, so by the time Patrick Swayze came on board, they renamed it Riders of the Storm, named after the classic Doors song.
Couldn't get rights to the song.
They then realised that song had nothing to do with surfing.
It was all about taking heroin.
Yeah, and apparently it was only about halfway through filming that it became Point
break because that is a surfing term.
Do you understand the surfing term of point break, or am I going to explain it for our audience?
Isn't it where the perfect point of where the wave crashes?
It's not actually. It's much more simple. It's the fact that on a coastline, just where there's a bit of land that juts out, because it's a point, it creates a break in the waves, and it creates waves.
The perfect wave.
So, like, there's some lovely places you can go surfing. I've only surfed once down North Spain. Go down to San Sebastian, and there's 2 lovely little coves.
Is this proper surfing you're talking about, or is this bodyboarding?
I never really stood up. I got on, like when he gets up on one knee in the film, that's as good as my surfing gets.
Okay.
But literally, the waves hit the point of the land, and it creates better waves in the cove. And that's why it's called a point break.
Point break?
Yeah, dude. Totally.
Mega.
Warning, major use of surfing terminology may follow.
Yeah, so that's the sort of the background. The screenplay had been circling around for a few years, and then, Catherine Bigelow got hold of it. Shall we jump into first memories of this film? Yeah,
it's a weird sort of haze in terms of memories, because I don't know about you, but there's something, and I just have this feeling that this film was referred to me, and it sounds weird to say, I think this film was referred to me by a lot of girls, like namely our sister. I think she said, "You've got to watch this film, it's amazing." And I'm like, "What? You just like it because it's got Patrick Swayze and it's got Keanu Reeves." But it seems on the surface to maybe be a chick flick, but it's not. I think that was maybe a design to maybe get more ladies or dates into the cinema. But that was my first introduction. I felt this was introduced to me. I didn't see it at the cinema. I don't remember seeing it at the cinema. I was shown this
probably too young.
Yeah, I would have been like 11. So, no, I mean, this was introduced to me on VHS, but when I think of Point Break, I think this was recommended to me.
Yeah, it was a similar thing with myself. I'd never heard of it. I don't remember it coming out at the cinema, and it was recommended to me. I was just randomly introduced to it by a friend's cousin who was a lady.
A girl.
A girl. And bizarrely, at the time, I remember I was going through the only time I'd heard of Keanu Reeves was from the Bill and Ted films. And at that time, I was going through my Bill and Ted phase where I was wearing my cap backwards with my fringe coming through the front, a bit like Bill.
Awesome.
Yeah. Just like Bogus Journey. So, yeah, it's... I remember I was just like, what's this about? And then she tried to describe it to me, and... obviously, that summary that I just gave our listeners before didn't seem so ridiculous to
how would she put it? It's about surfing and bank robbers. I'm sure that's how it was pitched. Wow, bank robbers and surfing. So what, are they robbing banks on surfboards? I mean, that's the first thing that jumps to mind. Like, how is this a bank robbing surfing film?
But again, like linking back to, I don't want to keep beating this drum about our sort of our small village upbringing, but a bit like Predator, like seeing something as exotic as, a film in the jungle, but yeah, a film all about surfing.
That orange sunset, just surfing on the beaches of LA. It was so far away from us.
I mean, I suppose we'd had a little bit of exposure to that with... I'm assuming Baywatch was on TV around the same time.
Baywatch was a bit later. If I remember rightly. Yeah, this was pre... I mean, we could check. And
I reckon it's around the same time.
Yeah.
But there was that exotic...
90s.
That exoticness, as you say, that sort of, eternal sunset and... amazing waves, and just a sort of that looks amazing. This film really captures a feel for LA in terms of you've got the beaches, but you've got the suburbs and stuff like that. So similar to Boys in the Hood, which came out
same year.
Yeah, same year. That whole sort of LA suburbs.
This is a very pedestrian view of LA. It's like, yes, you're on the beach, but you don't know where you are. And even when they're doing, later on we'll discuss it in the film, it's not shoved in your face. You assume it's California, but it's not shoved in your face, the skyline all the time. So I think it was, in terms of its timing, it's not that it's timeless, but it's not I don't think it looks too dated when you watch it.
When I was watching it, I felt like it felt a lot later in the 90s rather than 91. We joked about it that, with each decade, at the start of the decade, you haven't properly escaped.
It's the hangover.
The hangover. Early 90s, you hadn't properly escaped the 80s, whereas this feels like a fully fledged 90s film in terms of the look, the feel, the soundtrack. I mean, yeah, it has that sort of...
No, it's grungy. It is. It's very 90s.
Yeah, definitely. It's and I think that's why it probably stands up to repeat viewings, because it is a bit like a time capsule moment, but it doesn't feel sort of like shockingly bad in that respect.
Yeah, it doesn't take you out of the film. It's a lovely... It is a lovely way to go back to that period. Just to get started off, I will start with a credit scene because it's quite relevant, I think. I mean, obviously, in terms of when we're recording this, if you haven't heard of John Wick, Keanu Reeves is back, and it's John Wick. And the start of this film starts with Keanu Reeves in a shooting range in the FBI. And if you know anything about John Wick or what Keanu Reeves has done recently in terms of film, he is a complete badass in real life in a shooting range. It is insane what that man can do. He's like,
well, there's a video. Yeah, there's a video doing
It'll be on the blog. We'll link it in the notes.
And it was for the first John Wick film, and it's doing the rounds with the second one coming out. And yeah, it's just real life footage of Keanu Reeves going through this gun range and completely destroying everything, being an absolute badass. And it is just exactly like a mirror opening of Point Break, where Utah, 100% Utah, yeah.
And he's all wet, and his hair's wet, and
not
t-shirt. No, he is in the gun range. It's raining, and he's just, I don't know.
But I was going to say not in the John Wick training video.
No, I'm talking about in
the film.
In Point Break. It's raining. It's yes, it's a gun range. Yes, it's the FBI. Yes, it's
but wasn't it like that was an iconic image that of him in the rain with the wet t-shirt was like on
chewing gum, because he obviously doesn't smoke because he's Johnny Utah.
No, but that was like an iconic image for sort of teenage girls across the land. I remember seeing that poster everywhere. It was like remember kids, there used to be poster shops, Athena, things like that.
Movie posters. And this was, I mean, you got Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves in a sexy poster all in one. I mean, it's a beautiful poster. I don't think it needs any improvement. Would you not agree?
No, none at all.
We've obviously got the shooting range at the beginning.
It's juxtaposed with Bodhi surfing at the same time. And when I was watching this again recently, that's clearly not Patrick Swayze.
I was just going to say, when you said Bodhi surfing, I was like, what, you mean the Joker's stunt double?
Patrick Swayze's stunt double's clearly surfing. But I really like the... it's a really minor point, but I love the credits at the start, the way the two words Point Break crash together on the screen.
Like so many things in this film.
Slowly morph in.
Like a wave meeting the land. Or an FBI agent meeting a bank robber. Oh my God.
And falling in love.
Well, we won't talk about the love that dare not speak its name. Are we sure this isn't a chick flick? We've got Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze.
They're both so hot.
Yeah, really hot. And this was post Dirty Dancing.
Yes.
So riding on the waves of Dirty Dancing.
This is post Ghost.
Post-Ghost, God, yeah, that was so
no, but if you think about it, Swayze was
so hot, right?
I mean, apart from being an attractive man, he was really hot.
I have to say, I mean, we're not going to spend a lot of time saying this, but I miss him. I watched this film and I was just like, what an actor! I mean, stolen from us, but I mean, what an actor!
Really charismatic. Really holds the screen. He really threw himself into every role. Like he went on hundreds of skydives. I think he did learn to surf, and they realised he wasn't that good, so they got his stunt double. But on the flip side, a lot of the skydiving scenes, that is actually him.
I can believe that, and we all know. I don't know if you've seen maybe another film that he features in, but he does all of his own martial arts. That's clear. No, the weird thing is, I just remember growing up, Patrick Swayze, it's not like I had a problem with him, but every girl I knew thought he was drop dead gorgeous, and I was so far away from him. It's just like, God, I hate that guy. But now looking back, I'm just like,
God, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, what an actor. What a presence.
My only issue with him when I was younger was I kept getting him confused with Kurt Russell.
Why would you ever do that?
True story. They both had mullets, I suppose.
Yeah, and Kurt Russell still has both of their mullets in his hair right now.
Kurt Russell rocks a mullet, though.
He's in his ascendancy right now. So, getting back to where we are in the film, we've got a really nice montage going on at the beginning. We're establishing very quickly, because films were just generally made much more economically in terms of plot establishment. What comes next, George?
Well, you've got the whole introduction of the character. So you see Johnny Utah's first day, and you get to see you're introduced to some great supporting characters. So you've got
This is not some job flipping burgers at the local drive-in.
John C. McGinley, who is his boss, the FBI boss. And this was, a lot of people probably grew up watching Scrubs. And for me, this felt like it was like a prototype for Dr. Cox from Scrubs. This guy's an absolute dick, but he's really lovable at the same time. Like, he's really slimy, he's really hateful, but John C. McGinley is one of those great character actors that everything he pops up in, he's just really he makes the role his own.
Well, I agree with you 110%, because you know how we talked, I don't know what medium we share this knowledge on, but how we talked about the Jean-Claude Van Damme Coors advert. They obviously watched Hard Target and went, that's what we want. Yeah. And I totally agree with you about Scrubs. They were like, you know what you did in Point Break? Can you make that a series character? Because
can we stretch that out?
It's like, you damn right, hotshot.
And it's also got the great and just frankly batshit crazy Gary Busey.
Oh, best film ever. For him.
Yeah,
such a good character.
I reckon it's his best role, but it wasn't until I was doing research on this that apparently Busey at one of his most famous roles. I mean, you and I and a lot of our audience will know him for this, for Under Siege,
Predator
2, obviously. But one of his most famous roles prior to this was a surfing film, and it's one of the biggest surfing films of all time, called Big Wednesday. And he was a key character in that. He was one, I think there's like a trio of characters, and he's one of the three. I'm ashamed to say, and I'm pretty confident saying, neither of us have seen that film.
No, but we will go and watch it.
Yeah, as long as there's some car chases and
explosions.
But yeah, Gary Busey apparently he's nuts in real life, but he's brilliant in this. He really adds he just makes a bit like John C. McGinley. He really makes the character his own. And I remember when I was watching this for the first time, and jumping straight into spoilers, I was gutted when his character's killed off. Like, you feel really attached to him, because he
does play a little bit of the father figure role.
Yeah, he's the paternal role to the loose cannon that is
ex-retired superstar football come superstar FBI.
Could have gone pro with the amazingly named Johnny Utah.
100% Johnny Utah.
But the name is ridiculous. But if it's based on real people. There was Johnny Unitas and there was Joe Montana. So two big American football players with ridiculous names. And so when you say Johnny Utah, that's not a real name. I
love the way they worked it into this film. Very interesting. It's like, we're gonna make an FBI cop a surfer. So how do you connect the dots? And it's just like, well, what sort of FBI cop would you throw into this sort of project? Well, we got this one guy. This guy's got 100% Utah coming through the ranks, and he's an ex-football star. It kind of, in a 90s film kind of way, kind of makes sense to me. Makes sense to you?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't care.
If they can make that progression from football star to actor, you look at Carl Weathers, my friend, the actor Carl Weathers from the film Predator.
Got yourself a stew.
Get yourself a stew, babe. He was pro footballer. That lovely man, O.J. Simpson.
They all go on to bigger things.
Yeah.
O.J. I mean, look at him. He's bigger.
He went on to big things. Getting a little bit away from the point there. So, yeah, the setup is you're seeing Johnny Utah. He's meeting his boss. LA has the highest crime rates in the country, or bank robbery levels in the country.
It's a lot of crime.
He's young, dumb, and full of cum.
So many one-liners in this film.
And in that whole scene where Keanu Reeves is Johnny, he's been walked around the office.
So much happens.
Yeah, happened. But
economic exposition.
But Keanu seems so wooden. Like, he's just like, oh, what do I do? And I'm thinking that's a choice on his part. I do think
he gets knocked. I'm sorry, but I mean, he's made his revival, but he got knocked a lot more. And I think Keanu's kind of he knows what he's doing. He's not a stupid guy.
But if you look at how the character progresses from those initial scenes,
he starts off being all very stoic and straight-faced, and he softens up and he becomes more vocal, and maybe it's just spending more time with Bodhi, he really sort of comes out of his shell.
Yeah, I think that there is a backstory there, because, I mean, we're not going to delve too much into this, but let's delve into the character Johnny Utah for just 1 second. So, you're riding high, you're university #1, you're going to go to the playoffs.
100%.
100%. No, but I mean, as a footballer, the fact that they know him, obviously, university sports in America is much bigger. I have friends and colleagues who I've worked with. University basketball and university football, these are sports that people watch on TV. It's not just that they've heard about them. It's a very big, because you are watching the future stars of tomorrow come through. And so the fact that these guys know about him, he was obviously a superstar, so your football career's over. Somehow, you're in the FBI. So what would you expect? He's there, He's trying to translate all that into his role.
And no, but that's how he gets their trust of the surfers. Whereas if it was in today's society, oh yeah, you're that ex-pro footballer, and you go on LinkedIn, oh, he's not a lawyer, he's an FBI agent.
The one thing the FBI didn't think of.
Didn't see it coming.
Well, yeah, I mean, I liked that comment. I didn't think it would scupper the entire investigation.
Yeah, you've got that initial sort of Johnny Utah being familiarised with the case, him getting to know Angelo Pappas, Gary Busey's character.
Great name.
And there's that amazing rant from Gary Busey of...
Hey, watch your mouth.
Maybe you ought to just take some early retirement right now and get some rent-a-cop night security job. Tell mom stories.
Listen, you snot-nosed little shit. I was taking shrapnel and K-Sun while you were crapping in your hands and rubbing it on your face.
That scene, because maybe they repeat it later in the film, but that scene when they're going through the car wreck and they are ghosts. I mean, he's kind of setting up the film. He's like saying, I think they're surfers.
This is what I think,
they're in a burnt-out car, the remnants of the last robbery. Angelo's pitching his belief in a true, maverick cop way. Everybody else thinks one thing, but I think they're surfers. And it's a very slow introduction into the film, because you're watching this film and you're seeing the surfers, you're seeing them arrive, the FBI, you're seeing them investigating, you're like, well, how are these two going to tie together? And it's laying the groundwork very well.
It's a good bonding moment, and that leads on to what I've got. They're back at the office, it's late at night, and Pappas is taking them through his surfing theory. And we are bombarded with a huge amount of product placement.
Sorry, drink Corona.
The debriefing, they're surrounded by Corona, as you've picked up on. There's a bottle of Jack Daniels randomly in the corner.
They're cops. They drink.
Pappas, but this is going on from like minutes before. John C. McGinley saying, we're the best of the best. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do anything. And then, cut to sort of, 10 minutes later, got a bottle of Jack. At one point, I made a note and said, they're surrounded by a cage of Coronas.
Yeah.
There's Coronas everywhere in that shot. You've got Pappas talking about the sex wax. He even holds up the product.
He holds up sex wax. And then there's a bit where John C., the great FBI boss, goes, I was doing this before you were popping zits and jerking off to the lingerie section in the Sears magazine.
Yeah.
And Sears paid for that.
Possibly?
I'm pretty damn sure they did.
Does either one of you have anything even remotely interesting to tell me?
I just keep writing down there's so many lines in this film where he goes
quotables. This film is full of quotables.
Like when he goes to pick up his first surfboard and it's like the little kid is like,
surfing's the source. It'll change your life. Swear to God.
Swear, dude.
There's so much surfer terminology in this, but isn't that, when we did Starship Troopers, we talked about how anybody who doesn't kind of get Starship Troopers, and I think a lot of people agree with this, they don't get the satire. And isn't that a little bit of satire? Like the fact that the amount of surfer speak in this was I think it was kind of like who respect it. I think it was Bigelow saying, it is a language. They do talk like that because when I was surfing down in north of Spain and kneeling on my board,
bodyboarding.
Anybody who, it wasn't bodyboarding, anybody who was English speaking, there is a language. It's like, I mean, it's not called my first tube today, but there is a language. And I think that's why there's so much of it in the film.
And they pick up on that. They're like a tribe. They all hover there in the waves, waiting for the perfect moment. And I mean, you even see it at skateboard parks, and
it's real.
And there's that great line that I can't remember exactly it, but Keanu says it. It's like, come on, surfing's for little rubber people who don't shave yet.
Yeah, exactly. It's for kids.
So he goes to learn to surf. He makes a nightmare of it, and we are introduced to, oh wait, it's sexy man-child Laurie Petty. She's sexy. I'm just not entirely sure why. She looks a bit like a teenage small boy, but for some reason... credit to Catherine Bigelow. The way the camera lingers on her, there's a certain moment where she's changing out of her beach shorts using a towel. It's the classic Brits on the beach.
It's what all guys do. That's why the thing you think she's such a tomboy, because she's doing something that all us guys struggle with.
All us Brits on the beach do, taking your trunks off but putting your pants on with a towel.
Nobody can see us naked.
But Laurie Petty does it, so smoothly and super sexy. But yeah, she does look like a teenage boy. I'm sorry, I'm just, I don't know.
You're sweating. Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
But Laurie Petty went on to do such films as
Tank
Girl, and Free Willy. I think she was in.
She was in Free Willy.
Free Willy.
Okay.
So yeah, she's the one female role in this film.
Yeah, this is like, I mean, we did Predator in our last episode.
I mean, she's got a bit more to do than the token female role in Predator. And she's a pivotal role, but she's kind of passed around. She used
to be with Bodhi.
Yeah, she used to be with Bodhi. Now she's with Utah. Bodhi's not fussed in the slightest, and then she's kind of just the trophy that
she's a bit of furniture. I mean, some could argue that there are. I mean, obviously they're not. But if you wanted to dig really deeply and get all Freudian, you could say, well,
the only reason they're attracted to her is because she looks like a small boy.
No, I wasn't going to go down that road. Not now, at least. No, it's the fact that the most homoerotic thing about this film is that even though Bodhi and Johnny don't get it on, they've both been with the same girl. Maybe that's the only... I mean, this is the 90s. It's not like they could have a moment together.
No, not at all.
And just imagine, say, Bodhi, you've got some sand on your face. Wow, you've shaved today. You're really soft, and suddenly you need to get out of those wet clothes. I don't know. Characters established, George.
But
plot next.
No, you've got all these characters established, but it's only until after a surfing montage of Johnny Utah learning how to surf, jumping up on the board with and it's a proper montage with a hit grunge song.
Can I just point out of this, if you ever question how good of an actor Keanu Reeves is, he was an amazing surfer before he made this film. And he really pulls off looking like a beginner.
yeah, it's true. But it's not until that we see our first glimpse of the Swayze or his stuntman.
We're not sure who. We don't care. They have grey hair.
Yeah, so he's quickly, he meets the Bodhi and his group of surfers, and they don't like him. He's a lawyer, he's corporate. Ooh, he's an outsider. Oh, wait, he can play football. Yeah, good job. You're one of us. And yeah, they quickly accept him once they realise that he's an American football hero.
I just love the fact that, if you look at Bodhi's character, yes, he's a surfer, doesn't believe in violence unless he's, shooting off-duty cops. He hates violence, but he's got time to stay on top of college football. He knows who Johnny Utah is. They all do. It's like
you're a hero, man.
No, but it's the fact they recognise him. I mean, I can get with the idea that they might know his name, but I mean, he has to be a real stato to know that is Johnny Utah. But maybe it's because of his performance. Because there's some great night football in the water, guys jumping on each other. Yeah. It's not gay.
I love the bit where they just before they sort of it emerges,
tumble into the water in an embrace.
Yeah, he's chasing after him, and they're running along the beach, and then
they're miles away from the water.
Miles away, and then the next cut, they are they are properly diving in. It's like, hang on, you weren't anywhere near the tide.
Yeah, he's got a good reach.
So yeah, that's their bonding session. But then they get into more bonding. So there's he's still sounding out Bodhi. He's still looking, trying to identify the...
Don't know who the bank robbers are.
Yes.
Is it Bodhi and his mates, or is it the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
You mean Back Off War Child? Seriously. So yeah, you've got that scene where he meets this other gang that they're definitely the bank robbers. They're so bloody evil. Yeah, you've got that first... I think that's the first sort of action scene, I suppose.
Yes, but that's where Swayze shows his roadhouse roots. I can do a roundhouse like that.
In a wetsuit. And
but I hate violence.
Yeah, but because then Swayze launches into his philosophical chats, and
gotta love those.
And this was something that was pointed out to me by one of our dear listeners, Steve Ipond, who said, "Have you ever noticed the way that Patrick Swayze takes tiny steps?" and it's when he's having this philosophical chat after the fight.
Oh yeah, they're walking along with the surfboard.
Yeah, and Patrick Swayze, and he does this in Dirty Dancing as well. Patrick Swayze has really little tiny steps.
It's like he's always dancing.
And it's like he's always dancing, but imagine if a little bell was ringing every time he walked. But yeah, just think about that. When they're walking back to their cars, just check out Swayze's little tiny steps.
It's not short legs; they're tiny steps.
He just has little tiny steps. And then we were quickly launched into Bodhi's party, which is in true movie fashion is like
the best party in the world ever.
The best party in the world. There's someone breathing fire. There's a hot chick doing weird dancing.
They're having great chats on the beach.
There's fires.
Then they suddenly decide to go surfing, and the guy that he's only known for 5 minutes suddenly offers him like an amazing black surfboard that he's got hanging on the wall.
Yep. And
sorry, am I skipping ahead? Because there is an amazing...
Drop down into the pit. It's 25 feet straight down in your balls. Man, your balls are about this big.
How many people have not wanted to be sat around a campfire on a beach in California having some guy go nuts explaining about the divinity of surfing? I mean, that's a great scene.
Apparently,
a lot of actors introduced into that. Character actors.
A couple of the guys in the ex-presidents. That guy Gromit, your balls are this big, and the other guy with the goatee. They were actually professional surfers, but acted in their spare time.
Yeah,
and it kind of shows in some ways.
I was going to put up. I was like, I'm not sure. That whole thing, that thing where he goes nuts and he's like, yeah, and like the wave comes over, I'm like, this is so believable because this guy kind of just looks like a dick,
Yeah.
He's like, and it's like, no, he's just a bad actor. He's not a dick.
No, he's both. He's both. But yeah, you've got the night surfing scene, which I'm pretty sure was clearly shot in the day, and they've just added the blue
There's
filter.
a weird thing. There's a weird effect to that, isn't there?
Yeah, I think they've clearly filmed it sort of
James Cameron maybe
at 6 o'clock in the on a summer evening, and just added a nice James Cameron blue filter to it. There is some 90s moments. I noticed in Johnny Utah's apartment, he's got black sheets. I was like, is it the 90s or is he just a porn star? Who has black sheets?
I don't know.
I mean,
who does that?
Yeah, I just thought that was very 90s-esque.
Speaking of that scene where he's lying in bed looking so buff. And he's got Tyler. Great first name for a girl who's definitely not a guy.
Yeah.
Give her a guy's name.
Laurie Petty.
Yeah, but he's lying there. I am such a geek for saying this, but I'm sure we see exactly the same scene in Matrix Reloaded where he's lying in bed and he's got Trinity lying across him. He's totally Billy Bollocks. And it's his, this is my thinking scene.
This is me
thinking. Anyway. Black satin, if you live in the 90s, if you're still in the 90s, get yourself some black satin, check it out.
So I think we're...
careening, we're taking a big fat tube into the first hit on War Child and his crew.
Yes, yeah, it is a cracking scene.
I don't know what there's something, I look forward to it because he turns up late. Yes, it's after Bodhi's party. Everybody can relate to this. Maybe you're not an FBI agent, maybe you're not an undercover FBI agent, but we can all relate to having to do something really important at work
and still going out and getting shit-faced the night before.
Yeah.
Because that's what I relate to. He like turns up late, he's tucking his shirt in. It's
his big project.
It's his thing that they've had to get investment from. Everybody else is in play.
But the thing I like about that scene, it's got a great sense of geography. You've got the guys around the back, you've got Pappas out the front, and the camera's just...
Back, front.
It's really tightly edited, and I think that's what... It's the one thing out of Bigelow's work that, you know, if you look at Point Break and you look at Hurt Locker or Zero Dark 30, they are completely different films. And I think people would be surprised if they didn't know. But if you look at the editing and the action, that's where they share that DNA, that chemistry. And you look at how tight the action is, the editing on that house raid, on the foot chase, and a lot of the action is very tight. It's all very well choreographed. It's got very up close, and it's really involving.
Well, I mean, for me, I agree that, as I say, this is one of the highlights of the film, and obviously it's designed that way. It's a set piece, but looking back, the fact that looking at the history, Bigelow, Cameron, they're an item. He's an executive producer. This scene, the reason why I like it so much, and I'd be interested to see what you think about this. It reminds me so much of Terminator 2. There's something about this scene, and obviously, it's also the foot chase, which we will also get to.
The house raid.
Yeah, the house raid. This scene, but it's the look and feel of the house is very similar to the look and feel of the house in T2 where John Connor is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I mean, obviously, these films have come out within weeks of each other. Bigelow and Cameron are a thing. I don't know. There's just something. The DNA has been passed across from one film to the other, maybe even subconsciously. But I see in both the foot chase in this film, which we're obviously going to get to, and this scene. I don't know. There's just it's an LA 90s feel.
I'd say it definitely ties in with T2, with definitely with Boys in the Hood, with those LA suburbs and the back streets, the little sort of cut-throughs, alleyways and things like that. But yeah, that is a great scene, even if it does have the token sort of there's a hot chick having a shower. But I suppose the interesting twist is that the hot naked chick in the shower beats the crap out of Keanu Reeves.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I suppose
that's a good fight scene.
Yes, it's a good fight. And then you've got the face being pushed into the lawnmower, which is
almost horror.
Yeah,
like, is it going to happen? And Warchild looking like a pig, making noises like a pig, and accusing the pigs of being pigs. I mean, am I reading too much into that? It's weird. It's like, I watched that scene, I'm just like, after the lawnmower, it's like, pig, pig, pig.
One point, you mentioned one of Warchild's gang is none other than Anthony Kiedis, lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And apparently he missed he didn't turn up for any of the like stunt training, so that's why he went out like a punk in each scene. So on the beach fight, he's taken out with one punch, and then I think that's why he ends up
shooting himself in the foot.
Literally shooting himself in the foot.
Alan,
I put my foot on a spike. Sorry, can't resist. But yeah, I mean, we've already touched on the fact that Bigelow really captures the feel for LA and its geography. I think we can't sort of touch on again sort of another sort of character actor that's a very brief cameo, the undercover DEA agent, none other than Tom Sizemore.
Oh, he's so angry.
Do you think I like this hair, man?
It's like him and Bill Paxton. When they turn up in films, it's like, you're going to get this amazing performance for like a few minutes, and like it's great. You enjoy it every time.
It's a minor note in terms of the whole film, but it's just a nice little pop-up to see Tom Sizemore turn up. And then I think we pretty much go on to the moment, the sort of the light bulb moment for Utah when he discovers that Bodie and co are the ex-presidents. And it's when he goes surfing with them, and one of them moons whilst surfing.
Takes down his shorts.
He takes down his shorts and shows his ass, and he just has that big revelation. I've made a point saying, is this the first time that a mooning was a plot twist?
I never forget a man's ass. It was him.
It's so true, though. It's sort of like, it was you.
But wait a minute.
I know that ass.
I've seen that ass before.
Because I couldn't remember how this played out. And I was like, oh, yeah, he works it out because he shows his ass. And this is the beauty of nostalgia, of me not remembering it. But for some reason, I thought that when you see that scene, when he pulls down his shorts, that he...
I think you're going to say, I thought the same thing.
That he had the same thing written on his ass.
Thank you.
Thank you, that he has in the bank robber. But he doesn't.
He doesn't. He just recognises the ass.
He's just like, that's a great ass. Oh my God. I felt the same way the first time I saw that security video.
I've watched that security video so many times. So then we go to the stakeout at the bank.
Can I just mention, just because it is in between these two scenes, and I have made a note of it, it's the little bit of comic relief we get whenever they go back to the CIA, the FBI, because you've got John C. McGinley. It is McGinley.
Yeah, John C. McGinley.
He's just going, we've invested in you doing this. You've been learning to surf, and he does what I love.
We still use it.
We quote it all the time. Like when I couldn't find something for George recently.
Let me tell you what you've produced. Over the last 2 weeks, you two have produced exactly squat! Squat!
I think it's a good sign of this is a film that there's moments where it needs to be serious. But it realises that the audience, even today, you've seen a lot of the films that are coming out today, everybody still recognises the need for comic relief, whether it's a horror or a serious action thriller. People need to chill out just for a moment.
It seems like John C. McGinley gets angrier and angrier, and
it's great.
Johnny Utah gets, more and more sort of relaxed. The thing I've noticed before the amazing foot chase, you've got the stakeout at the bank, and let's be honest, they're both terrible FBI agents. Neither of them are paying attention when the gang actually turn up.
Yep.
You've got Pappas who's reading the papers.
Calvin and Hobbes.
And you've got Utah who's buying some sandwiches, some meatball sandwiches.
But is that just Bigelow trying to convince us that these are just normal cop sort of things?
I don't know.
On a stakeout for all those hours, it makes it kind of more realistic in a way.
I suppose it is just a sort of, it's an economic way of saying, well, let's not have the bank face off yet. They've obviously got a scene later down the line of the bank set robbery. We've got to catch them in the act, sort of, getting away from it. But I just thought, they're just really bad. They're doing a stakeout. Neither of them notice that until it's too late that a random car's pulled up. But then we launch into the foot chase, and it's such a great scene. I think it's
best foot chase ever.
It's got to be up there. I mean,
Well, name a better one.
Well, the only one I can think of is
that doesn't involve CGI.
Well, that's it.
It's Casino Royale.
Yeah, Casino Royale.
Casino Royale is the only thing that comes close.
Hot Fuzz, and it's just doing it as a homage.
Hot Fuzz is a homage to Point Break.
Yeah.
Casino Royale is amazing, but I'm sorry, James Bond is on a different level to all other films. It is. It's like that is an amazing film.
But if you look at the rawness of this scene in terms of they had
and it's the 90s,
and they rigged up some sort of random sort of experimental camera rig of this guy sprinting down the street after Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze's stuntman, and it is actually, I read into this, apparently Patrick Swayze was busy doing on the promo tour for Ghost, doing all the promotions for Ghost in Japan, so he wasn't available. So the guy in the Ronald Reagan mask was actually Patrick Swayze's stunt double. Patrick Swayze was not present at all during the whole entire foot chase scene.
You've just ruined that.
Apart from obviously they would have inserted his dreamy blue eyes at the end
for that scene,
for that close up. But
amazing. You feel like you're on the cusp.
They're going over fences, they're going through doors, there's the crazy woman that's hitting him with the Hoover.
And he throws a dog at him at some point, he throws garden equipment at him. It's so, is visceral the word? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like such a long scene, but I think it's only something, it's less than 2 minutes.
I think this is once again our memories playing tricks on us, because we remember this for what it means, I think, in its entirety to the story. It's a turning point. It's a massive turning point, and it's also showing that both of them are dedicated to their causes. That Patrick Swayze is dedicated to getting away with it, and that Johnny Utah is dedicated to getting to his man. And where do they meet? They meet with, I don't know, just this, as the credits do at the beginning, they clash, he drops, he falls, he could take him out.
But then it links into the ludicrous backstory of him being a football player, him busting his knee. And,
convenient.
And it also leaves us with one of the greatest firing your gun in the air and screaming moments, as referenced in Hot Fuzz.
I love that in Hot Fuzz.
Have you ever fired your gun in the air and gone, "Arr?"
It's brilliant, though, but it's not a chick flick. This is when it stops being a chick flick. This is a buddy movie.
But also to touch back on Terminator 2, it's that storm drain. It's that, you half expect the lorry to come ploughing down.
Arnie on a bike.
Out of my way.
just when Patrick Swayze thinks he's got away from Johnny Utah, the fucking T-1000 turns up.
No, Arnie was cycling by. Come on, homos, hurry up! Stupid ghoulie man.
This isn't the Predator.
No, sorry.
We said no more Arnie.
No more Arnie.
Not for at least a month.
Okay. We get to see some more, following the Swayze getting away, we get, the gang by the campfire saying we should just kill him, but you get some great philosophical monologuing from Swayze, us against the system.
This was never about money for us. It was about us against the system. That system that kills the human spirit. We stand for something. To those dead souls inching along the freeways in their metal coffins, we show them that the human spirit is still alive.
Truly philosophical bank robbers, surfers.
Well, I think it's just Bodhi. But then
shit gets weird because they do that whole thing. Do you want to come parachuting with us, even though that you're the cop and you're the bad guy? Very weird.
But it leads to some amazing cinematography. I think I don't think I've seen any better films capture the, I'm going to say it, beauty and majesty of skydiving. I think the skydiving scenes are longer than the foot chase. The film does really linger on them, but there's some amazing cinematography.
Oh, they're amazing scenes, and it makes you want to skydive. Apart from making you want to be Patrick Swayze, but it's beautifully shot.
Great soundtrack as well.
Great music while it's happening, and it's also very subtle how you don't realise. I don't think you realise this on the first viewing, but you realise that obviously all of this is going on. You forget that there's obviously a cameraman. Like, one of the skydivers is the cameraman, and there's actually not just one, that there's 4 of them, and that they've got to shoot it in a certain way where the cameramen aren't caught in the scene. It's so complicated, and you don't work any of that out until after you've watched it.
And the scene is for longer than 2 minutes, and their free fall would probably last shorter than 30 seconds.
Yeah, depends. I don't know how much money how high they went up, but it's just what strikes me about that scene is the chemistry between all of them. It's all mixed up. It's like, what's going on? It's like a really weird game of poker going on. It's like, who's going to break first, and
oh yeah, and they have the whole thing with who's packed who shoots and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do that. No, take this one, this one, and it reminds me. It's very much of its era where the uncertainty and tension is played out through dialogue. You know, it's like what they're all thinking and feeling on the plane is like they all know who he is, and he kind of knows who they are. And the way they do it is that whole thing of passing the chute.
You shouldn't trust me.
You shouldn't trust me, and you shouldn't trust me, and he ends up in the same position that he was in before. So that's great. And then I don't know if there's anything else you want to say on that, but all I can remember about watching this film is it's the one thing I went back to when I was talking about before about how Bodhi deplores violence, and that's why he's just got Tyler tied up with some really weird guy.
Psychopath.
Yeah.
No, but I noticed this because it really dates the film, that his insurance policy, he has to like, hey, Johnny, come and see this, into the back of the van, and he rings up, he's got like the massive monitor and VCR player.
It's like a TV crew van.
Yeah, but imagine like... And,
now I've got this on my phone.
Yeah, well, that's it. You just say, hey mate, look at my phone.
It's a picture. It would just be like, have you seen? Oh, you just text it to him.
Yeah, Snapchat.
You actually wouldn't even need to go the whole skydiving thing.
Wouldn't have to go to that added expense.
Because that is the weird thing. Why do they take him skydiving?
I think they're fucking with him.
Do you think that's what it is? They want him to think, because that's the question that I thought watching this again
because Bodhi knows he loves him.
He loves him in a special way. But it is a weird thing because I don't know if you are aware of the costs involved. I mean, obviously these are bank robbers. They have lots of cash. It ain't cheap.
No. To hire a plane.
It's an expensive example to make. So was it all just to get his like head all messed up and then show him this like really...
Swayze says he knows exactly what to do with this guy. You know,
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing. He's a man in control. He's a man in charge of his life.
But do you think he did it? He's like, I think this guy kind of likes me. If we go skydiving, he's going to totally want me.
And if I can get his girlfriend out the picture,
then, you know, all roads lead to Rome.
Love games.
So we're moving into the third act now, George. What's worth pointing out? What sticks in your memory?
Well, you've got the heist, I suppose. That's another great, in terms of I wouldn't say it's an action scene. It's a great scene of tension because
you don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know what he's obviously Utah's put into it against his own will. He hasn't got a mask. He hasn't got any bullets. And you're thinking, what's going to happen?
How does he feel about not wearing a mask and going to a bank robber? I mean, how would you say he designs?
I am an FBI agent.
Some of the best delivery ever from Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
I love him. And I respect him, but I love that scene.
And I think Swayze just retorts with, ain't it rad?
Total surfer speak.
And I'm sure you mentioned this to me in the past. It is just like, you know, with the whole undercover off-duty, I'm a cop.
The microphone's really close to everybody's mouth.
Really capturing his diction.
A 90s thing or an 80s thing, but you not get the feeling.
Well, no, it's the thing that I noticed. I failed to mention it about when we're talking the shooting range. It's like the only other film I can really think of is that captures the sound so well is Heat, is the sound of the gunshots.
Yeah, it's like
really,
my mouth can't replicate it.
It's really raw, it's really loud, and
it sounds far away, but also at the same time right next to you.
Yeah, if it does feel like, I think raw is the term I'd use. So yeah, that whole bank robbery scene, they're against the clock, they're breaking their rules, something is going to go wrong.
But it's being fed to you.
Yeah.
It's like, so we're going to take Johnny Utah with us, and then he starts mixing it up, and like the only reason you've done 27 robberies in 3 years is because they never break the formula.
But,
and it's
but why does Bodhi break the formula? Is it love?
I think it's love. I think he wants to impress Johnny. I think it's that, but I mean, obviously in the film they tell you it's because this is the one last job. Because that's what they're talking about in the fire scene. Before.
Yeah.
This is one last job, and then they're off. Because
then they're done for summer.
Yeah, well, no, not just done for summer. I think this is different because I think what they're trying to, what they're saying around the fire, and why the others are saying we should kill him, is the fact that they've got an FBI agent in their ranks who's got underneath their skin, who's been surfing with them, who knows how everything works. And they're like, they're not going to, because in the beginning, Busey's character, Angelo, explains that they rob banks and then they
disappear.
And then they come back and they rob banks. And I think that's the point of the conversation around the fire is, this guy knows everything. I mean, Bodhi, he's practically slept with you. And Bodhi just looks off into the distance. And so I think that's why Bodhi goes nuts, because he's like, I can't believe I let my guard down and
I fell in love with
Johnny Utah's amazing
endangering the mission.
I've endangered the mission with my love for him, and that's why it's like, let's change everything. Let's go to we never go to the vault.
It'd be a little hard to play FBI now, though, huh?
Can we just get the goddamn money and get out of here?
Nobody move! Heads down, eyes down.
I'm going to ask you a question because I'm not actually sure. Is Gromit, the other surfer, you know, your balls are this big, is he Bodhi's brother? Because when he gets shot, he's like, come on, little brother, come on. Is that just a term of affection? Or because...
For me, surfer terms. I don't know if you've read it.
But it really hits him that that surfer dying really sort of affects Bodhi.
Do you reckon it's on a deleted scene somewhere?
I don't know. I've always thought
maybe
that.
there's a line. Maybe there's a line somewhere. Yeah, just like when we were younger. Maybe. Or maybe we're reading too much into it.
Maybe. The only other thing I want to mention is when Utah's been knocked out, he's been arrested by the FBI, and John C., his boss Harv, turns up, and Paps is like, get him out of there, and And he's like, I know something you don't know. And John C. McGinley comes out with a line, why don't you astonish me, shitface?
He is awesome in this. Him and Angelo, the chemistry between the two of them.
Yeah. Probably caught on this one of the most recent time I saw this, but the fact that he calls the plane Air Force One, I thought was a nice little trick.
Oh, because of the presidents.
Yeah. That's why I said that.
Oh, I see what you did there.
But the whole sort of face off in the plane before Swayze makes his farewell and jumps
the
out
Russian
the plane.
roulette.
Yeah, you want me so bad, it's like acid in your mouth.
Oh my God, George! Let's not talk about that because that could be misconstrued in so many beautiful ways.
So many beautiful ways. So as I said earlier, Swayze did his own skydiving stunts, and in that scene where he jumps out the side of the plane, that's him jumping out of a real plane.
Love it.
So the whole point with Utah chasing after Bodhi without a parachute was tested. There's the Discovery Channel show Mythbusters.
Where you can clearly see that the guy chasing after Swayze has a parachute.
No, there's not that. They determined they wouldn't have been able to free fall for 90 seconds as in the film, nor a bit like my point about my sort of film logistics, which I've pointed out in Face Off and Predator. They wouldn't be able to hold a conversation in midair. But they did determine on Mythbusters, it is true that by streamlining his body, Utah could have conceivably caught up with Bodhi after jumping from the plane. So
are you trying to tell me you've never seen Octopussy?
Have I ever seen Octopussy?
That's what he does. It's like, if I ever fall out of a plane and I need to catch up with somebody...
Hang on, are you saying that Octopussy has paved the way for...
Basically, there's a direct link between the two.
I'm glad somebody's made that point. So yeah, you've got that whole... we're pretty much skipping to the end, aren't we?
That's pretty much the climax. Because, we've had the death of Angelo, with the nastiest of Bodhi's crew, taking out our favourite kind of... Father figure, buddy of Johnny Utah. It's like everybody's been cancelled out. Yes, it's kind of where he lands. He has to make the big choice. Tyler's released.
Buster's knee again.
Yeah, nothing else happens. Oh no, wait a minute. There is the scene which, judging by hairstyles, was obviously filmed before. Am I right? Or was he wearing a wig?
Well, no,
Sorry, we're talking about the scene in Bells Beach, Australia.
I thought that they've swapped haircuts because they miss each other. So
it's coping with loss.
Yeah, so Bodhi's cut off his locks and he looks like Johnny, and Johnny's grown his hair because he wants to be a bit like Bodhi.
Know what? That's so. It's probably true. It's probably true. But my one question,
and it shows the passage of time.
My one question about that scene is, I don't know about anybody else, but in my book, a storm that big, it normally lasts for a few days. How did he get him on the right day? I think the answer is dramatic. Or is it poetic license? I always disagree on this. It's
dramatic license, poetic justice.
Poetic justice and dramatic license.
Beach justice?
It's definitely beach justice. And the great little 1-2... Johnny's been beaten in the fight, but he's handcuffed him. And how did he learn to handcuff him so quickly? Well, that's the other film that we haven't seen, which is, Point Broke Back Mountain.
Well, that could be like a bit like a Star Wars sort of inter-episode prequel where he learns how to handcuff people, but he spends the entire film learning how to do it.
That would be a great film.
Let me get this straight. The FBI is going to pay me to learn how to handcuff people really quickly. Exactly, Johnny.
It's a prequel. It'll all make sense.
But when will I have to use it? Well, you never know.
You never know.
Even in water? So yeah,
How do we finish this? This is a film that we've grown up with. We've watched. That's why obviously it's a retro ramble film, because we've grown up with it. It means a lot to us, and I think it means a lot to all of you in that it is a great film. It's an enjoyable film to go back and rewatch again and again.
I think it's an important point, and we have touched on it. Is about Keanu Reeves. Apparently, I was listening to the Nerdist podcast about this. They were interviewing Keanu Reeves for John Wick, and he revealed that Catherine Bigelow actually fought really hard to get him cast in the film, that she was adamant that he had to be the role. And
there is no other surfer dude.
But if you look at
apart from Patrick Swayze,
if you look at his career, no Johnny Utah, you would have never had his role in Speed. You never would have had The Matrix, and you would have never had John Wick. And so it's a really pivotal film for his career. Like before then, he was seen as
totally bodacious.
Yeah, he was seen as comic relief, but this film made him a credible action star, and that has changed the face of his career. And you know, he's not everyone's cup of tea. I can understand that.
Who are these people?
You should listen to. He does 2 different podcasts with the Nerdist for both John Wick and John Wick 2. And he's actually a really animated, really funny guy.
Well, that interview on Empire recently, he's just, I mean, obviously he's promoting films. He seems just so charismatic. He seems like a legend. Gung-ho about everything he does. Like, you can see the fighting scene, the footage we've seen in the preparation for John Wick. This is a guy who... maybe he has got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Maybe he did come through the Bill and Ted and was like, look, you're just a good-looking, you're just a guy who's like played Bill and Ted. He's like, no, I'm a serious actor, but the amount of effort he puts into his roles, he's always put into his role. The Matrix.
They did like 6 months of training or something for The Matrix.
The Matrix is insane. You and I both dabbled with our foxy boxing. We both did some taekwondo. We're familiar with what's involved in training. To do what he does in The Matrix in 6 months is amazing. And to do what he does in the shooting range and preparation, all that, this is a guy, he is not Tom Cruise, but I think he approaches each project like Tom Cruise, but I don't think he needs to be as big a star as Tom Cruise needs to be. I think,
and that's the point he makes in this podcast. He said it's not down to it's basically the stories that interest him. It's down to that would be a lot of fun to make rather than but he says he's also looking to like do different things in terms of, he said he'd love to do like a musical and stuff like that, and it's just like, but he's quite a one of a kind. But I think this leads on to perfectly for
Coulda Woulda Shoulda is where we explore the other actors who were considered for the roles. So for Point Break, Coulda Woulda Shoulda.
So this is for the role of Johnny Utah. So Matthew Broderick.
Oh my God, Ferris Bueller, the one and only.
Johnny Depp.
Oh, interesting. Depp in the 90s.
Yes. Val Kilmer.
Well, would have been good. Skeet surfing.
And Charlie Sheen. But the most left field of all...
The most hilarious. Come on, George, hit me with it. You've been laughing about this all day.
I can't get my head around this. Willem Defoe.
My name is Johnny Utah.
Willem Defoe and Patrick Swayze.
FBI agents.
Can you imagine Willem Defoe and Patrick Swayze doing this film?
Terrifying.
No, but it would have been really weird because... Patrick Swayze would have been young. Well, no, Willem Defoe would have been quite young.
I think Willem Dafoe's always been old.
Yeah, he's got that sort of face.
But bizarrely, I was watching John Wick again the other night, and Willem Dafoe's in that. He's one of his assassin buddies.
I think. Correction, Willem Defoe is the only reason there's a John Wick 2. Willem Defoe saves his ass in John Wick
multiple times,
like at least 2 or 3 times in that film, and doesn't all go according to plan.
The other thing I wanted to point out is apparently there's an ongoing show in LA, Point Break Live, where the role of Johnny Utah is played by a member of the audience chosen by popular acclamation after a brief audition. The new Johnny Utah reads all of his or her lines from cue cards for the duration of the show.
What's the entire film?
Yeah, the entire film is acted out on stage.
Oh my God.
And the person who's from the audience is reading from cue cards to capture the rawness of a Keanu Reeves performance, even from those who generally don't think themselves capable of acting. But apparently, hats off to Keanu. He's actually been to Point Break Live and actually watched it.
No, so. I mean, we grew up with this guy. Obviously, there was Bill and Ted's. For me, this was the film that got him on my radar. I think, I don't know about you, but I went back to watch Bill and Ted's. I didn't. I think Bogus Adventure was at the cinema. Bogus Adventure got on my radar.
Bogus Journey
got on my radar. Excellent Adventure. I think I watched later or something like that. I don't know. It was weird, but it was this and then Speed.
Speed was a great film.
Speed was when I realised I was in love with Keanu Reeves. Kind of like Bodhi.
More than Bodhi?
No, I mean, I just didn't like what he'd done with his hair in Speed because he shaves it all off. But anyway, the 90s belonged to actors like Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves. This is a great film.
Great soundtrack.
Great soundtrack.
Great cinematography.
Yes, it's not timeless. It's a 90s film.
It's dated, but in a fond way. In a nostalgic way, and it's what we're all about.
And who are we trying to convince? I mean, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you've seen it. Maybe it's not been for a long time, but we've obviously spoken to a few of our followers, and people are excited about this film still. People love this film, and if you haven't watched it in a while, go back and check it out because it's escapism.
It's camp, it's lovable, but I think that's how it kind of works. I think they all kind of knew how sort of over the top it was, but they go with that earnestness and it kind of works. You know, you can easily imagine in the wrong director's hands or wrong actors, it could easily just be a cheap sort of TV movie. It is almost, I mentioned it earlier, Baywatch. It's almost like a really bad Baywatch plot. You know,
a really good Baywatch.
Or a really good. You know, which way, potato.
And there's that new Baywatch film coming out, but more on that later if it's relevant or good.
Oh no! Speaking of which, we completely failed to mention the whole Fast and Furious connection.
Oh God, yeah.
The fact that Fast and Furious 1, I know we're currently the 8th one, as the Fast and Furious 8 or The Fate of the Furious has just hit cinemas. The first one is a blatant rip-off of Point Break.
Absolutely.
And it gets away unashamedly, so there's no actual reference or inspiration or anything.
They've never given credit to it. And how can, it does raise the question, how can you make a film like Fast and Furious without saying, even just saying something like, this is a homage to films like Point Break, and mention a few other films at the same time so it's not obvious. To not even recognise it, it's a little bit lazy.
But it's interesting, again, to think, like, saying about this role, without this film, Keanu Reeves' career wouldn't have evolved as it has done. You look at how, like, Fast and Furious is a billion-dollar franchise. It's Universal's, like, cash cow. It's every film that comes out will make $1 billion. And that all starts off the back of Point Break, essentially.
Yeah, it's crazy. We trace it back that far. So it is available on DVD. You probably have the DVD. It is on Blu-ray. I'm sure it's not on many streaming, but I'm sure it will be eventually.
No,
you can get it on Google Play, I think. You can get it on.
I bought the Blu-ray a few years ago, so I have a digital copy. I have it on Ultraviolet.
I watched it on the DVD, and the sound is still fantastic. So
it looks great. Yeah, sounds great. It's one of those films that, watching it on a big screen with a good speaker setup is definitely worth it.
That was Point Break.
That was Point Break, and thank you to everyone that listened. So, Charlie, in terms of other stuff, what have you been up to recently? You've been a bit of a celebrity, haven't you?
I have. Well, I mean, I've been rubbing shoulders, one might say.
Literally rubbing shoulders? Because that's just a bit weird.
Yeah, I almost got asked to leave. No, thanks to Paramount, I was invited to the premiere of Scarlett Johansson's big film of late, Ghost in the Shell.
In Paris?
Yes, I should say at the French premiere at the Rex on Grand Boulevard in Paris. So it was a blue carpet, not a red carpet. I think just trying to be different.
Yeah, well,
But it was surreal to be there at a premiere, to be ushered in and then to see the stars arrive and then pose for photos. And there was obviously a lot of freebies. There was also this very interesting thing that they did where on the actual cinema screen before the stars came up and introduced the film, there was a running video of them arriving, and then you could take pictures of that and tweet it. So in terms of my background, I was quite impressed with the whole the social media strategy that was in play. The film was stunning, and if anybody's seen the original...
Did you see it in, was it 3D?
No, it was just in 2D. I think that was a restriction of the cinema that it was in for the premiere. They needed the biggest screen.
Is it actually in 3D? I'm not sure. I saw it in 2D.
I'm not sure if it is available, but we'll clarify that on our blog. But yeah, a fantastic experience to be in the same room as these actors, not only the likes of Scarlett Johansson, but Juliette Binoche, and see these young actors coming through. I'd say it was very good visceral experience. And very loyal to the original anime, and I think the fans are going to be very, very happy with the film, and it's once again shows that Scarlett can hold her own.
Did you tell Scarlett that I love her?
I did. I was screaming it, and that was when I got asked to move.
Okay. Yeah. I went and saw that recently myself.
It wasn't a premiere, was it?
It wasn't a premiere.
You didn't get any goodies, right?
Though I have been to premieres in the past, I'd like to add.
This is about me, though.
This is your moment.
This is my moment. You enjoy it, don't spoil it.
Yeah, stop ruining my moments. Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I thought it looked fantastic. Great, very slick visuals. Great soundtrack. I think it's Clint Mansell, who's a favourite composer of mine. I just felt, maybe because it is an adaptation of the manga, and I watched the manga anime last year, it just felt very familiar. It's very Blade Runner-y in terms of the cityscapes. It's a bit Matrixy, obviously it's the slow-mo and stuff like that. But it's enjoyable despite that familiarity.
Yeah, it's good to see source content like that being given that sort of treatment, that sort of budget, those sort of stars. And no, it was, as I say, it was great to see it all in action. So
and just soak up a premiere.
Yeah, no, great experience. Very thankful to be included, and looking forward to the next invite.
So what else have you got for us?
What else am I doing? Well,
thumb twiddling on
my PS4. A game that has to be mentioned is Horizon Zero Dawn. All of you, because of the beauty of advertising, have probably walked past a few advert designs which are showing scenes from this game. And how did you describe it, George? It's the one
with the robotic dinosaurs?
That is the one.
In a post-apocalyptic future.
Yeah, so treading, you could say, the same territory as many other titles that have come out in the last few years. This does do something truly original. The story is very interesting, and it's quite current in terms of what the future of AI and technology could take us if not properly policed, but don't get me started on that. No, but it is a beautiful game, and this is done by Guerrilla Games, who were behind the Killzone franchise, which I think we both invested a lot of time in on the PS2 and PS3.
Yeah.
But even the guys, a completely separate development house who I have a lot of time for, Naughty Dog, who've done the Uncharted series and more recently Last of Us.
Love both those games. Very cinematic games. So if you're any movie fans out there that haven't played those games, go and play them now.
Yeah, check them out. But they had an interview with the guy who runs, or the guys who run Guerrilla Games behind this. And even Naughty Dog said that this sets the bar as to what the graphics need to be. So we can be very excited about the next Naughty Dog title, because they're apparently going to match this. But great controls, great graphics, beautiful soundtrack, great game mechanics, just lots of fun. And it's just a beautiful world to romp about in, with robo-dinosaurs and lots of sunsets and everything. So no, it's not a long game. You can, for the casual gamer, I would say it's definitely worth checking out. One of the most impressive games I played on the PS4 since GTA 5.
So that is Horizon Zero Dawn.
That is the one and very same. What about you? What have you been up to?
Not much. Just, playing Nintendo, eating chips in my pants. No, not much to report on my side. I've been to the cinema a few times recently. I say, obviously, saw Ghost in the Shell. I saw Kong Skull Island, which is definitely just lives up to the summary dumb but fun.
Okay, but worth a viewing?
Yeah, it's popcorn fodder entertainment. It's not going to change the wheel. It's not really doesn't really add anything new, but it's fun while it lasts.
Okay, and we're obviously on the cusp of a lot of summer blockbusters coming out, so we're already being bombarded. I think the rest of our time has been taken up by updating our beautiful blog, because
we are now live.
We are live. That we are obviously having to be a lot more responsive to what's going on, but we're enjoying it. There's a lot more articles up there, so please check it out.
Yeah. Any questions? RetroRamble
RetroRamble.blog.
Yeah, get us on all of the social medias and
RetroRambleblog@gmail.
And please keep referring us to your friends, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, you're a real Blue Flame special, aren't you, son? Young, dumb, and full of cum. I know. I guess we just must have ourselves an asshole shortage, huh?
Not so far.